Luxury interior design is often misunderstood as a matter of expensive furniture, dramatic architecture, or recognizable names. In reality, the most enduring interiors are rarely defined by obvious displays of wealth. Their strength comes from proportion, restraint, material quality, atmosphere, and the feeling that every element belongs exactly where it has been placed. A timeless luxury home does not need to announce itself. Instead, it creates a sense of calm that becomes more compelling the longer you look. This approach begins with understanding that beauty is not created by adding more, but by making thoughtful decisions about what deserves attention. Rooms feel sophisticated when furniture is carefully scaled to the architecture, when circulation remains comfortable, and when decorative objects have enough space around them to be appreciated. This principle of restraint is especially important in living spaces, where comfort should remain inseparable from elegance. A beautiful room should invite people to sit, read, talk, rest, and live rather than function simply as a visual composition. Timeless interiors also tend to avoid excessive dependence on short-lived trends. Instead of building an entire room around a fashionable color or decorative movement, designers often establish a lasting foundation through architectural details, natural materials, classic silhouettes, and carefully edited furnishings. The result is a room that can evolve without losing its identity. A sofa may eventually be reupholstered, artwork may change, and accessories may be rearranged, yet the underlying character remains intact. Before furniture, accessories, or decorative objects enter a room, architecture establishes the fundamental character of the space. Ceiling height, window proportions, doors, flooring, fireplaces, wall surfaces, moldings, and the relationship between adjoining rooms all influence how an interior will ultimately feel. For this reason, sophisticated design begins by respecting the architecture rather than attempting to conceal it. A room with strong architectural proportions can often become more beautiful when its decoration is comparatively restrained. Conversely, a space with minimal architectural detail can gain depth through carefully introduced materials, texture, furniture, and lighting. The goal is not to force every room into the same decorative language, but to create harmony between the existing structure and the objects placed within it. Proportion is particularly important. A large room requires furniture with enough visual weight to feel connected to its scale, while a smaller room benefits from pieces that preserve movement and openness. The distance between furniture, the height of artwork, the size of lighting fixtures, and even the amount of empty wall space contribute to the perception of quality. When these relationships are balanced, the room feels effortless. One of the most reliable ways to create depth in a sophisticated interior is through natural materials. Stone, wood, linen, wool, cotton, leather, metal, plaster, ceramic, and woven fibers each possess individual characteristics that become richer when placed in conversation with one another. Unlike perfectly uniform synthetic surfaces, natural materials often contain variation, subtle changes in grain, tone, temperature, texture, and reflectivity. These imperfections give a room visual life. Wood can introduce warmth and continuity, stone can provide weight and permanence, linen can soften architectural surfaces, and aged metals can contribute a sense of history. The important principle is not simply to use expensive materials, but to create contrast between different tactile experiences. A smooth stone surface becomes more interesting beside rough wood. A soft upholstered chair gains definition against a harder architectural background. A woven rug can visually connect furniture while introducing another layer of texture underfoot. This layering creates a room that feels complete without requiring excessive decoration. Texture is particularly important when the color palette is restrained. In a room built primarily from neutrals, visual interest cannot depend entirely on differences in hue. Instead, subtle changes in surface become the source of richness. Matte plaster may sit beside polished stone, brushed metal beside woven fabric, and aged wood beside smooth ceramic. The eye moves from one surface to another, discovering differences that may initially seem understated. Color is one of the most powerful tools in interior design, yet timeless spaces often use color with considerable restraint. This does not mean that sophisticated interiors must be completely white, beige, or gray. Rather, the strongest schemes often begin with a quiet foundation and introduce variation through undertones, materials, artwork, textiles, and carefully selected accents. Warm whites, taupes, soft browns, muted greens, charcoal, faded blues, creamy neutrals, and earthy shades can coexist without creating visual competition. The key is understanding how colors interact with light and materials. A neutral wall may appear warmer beside natural wood and cooler beside stone or metal. A fabric that looks simple in isolation can become expressive when placed next to another material with a different texture. This is why color should never be considered independently from the surfaces surrounding it. Contrast is equally important. A room composed entirely of similar tones can feel flat, while a room with too many strong contrasts can become restless. Sophisticated interiors often use controlled contrast, a dark frame against a pale wall, a warm wooden table against a lighter floor, a deep textile against neutral upholstery, or a sculptural object against an empty architectural surface. These moments give the eye places to rest and points of emphasis without overwhelming the composition. Artwork can become another important source of color. furniture is where interior design becomes connected to human experience. No matter how beautiful a room may appear, it ultimately has to support the way people live. Seating should be comfortable, tables should be functional, pathways should remain clear, and furniture should establish relationships that encourage conversation and movement. This is why luxury cannot be measured simply by the price or prestige of individual pieces. A beautifully crafted chair placed in the wrong location can weaken an entire room, while a relatively simple piece can become powerful when its proportions and placement are right. Scale is one of the most important considerations. Furniture should relate not only to the dimensions of the room but also to the height of ceilings, the size of windows, and the visual weight of surrounding architectural elements. Oversized furniture can make a room feel crowded, while pieces that are too small may appear disconnected from the architecture. The ideal composition creates a sense of balance without making every element identical. Variety in furniture silhouettes can also prevent a room from becoming predictable. Curved forms may soften a space dominated by straight architectural lines, while a substantial wooden table can ground a room filled with lighter upholstered pieces. Upholstery and textiles provide another opportunity to combine comfort with refinement. Linen, wool, cotton, velvet, and leather each communicate different levels of formality and tactile warmth. Lighting is often the element that determines whether an interior feels merely attractive or genuinely atmospheric. Natural daylight provides the foundation, but artificial lighting allows a room to change character as the day progresses. A sophisticated lighting strategy usually involves several levels rather than relying on one central source. Ambient illumination establishes overall visibility, task lighting supports specific activities, and accent lighting draws attention toward architecture, artwork, shelves, or decorative objects. When these layers work together, the room can feel intimate and dimensional rather than uniformly bright. The placement of light matters as much as the fixture itself. A lamp beside a chair creates a different atmosphere from a ceiling fixture centered above a room. Light directed toward a textured wall can emphasize material depth, while a softly illuminated artwork can become a focal point after sunset. Shadows should also be considered part of the composition. Perfectly eliminating shadows can make an interior feel flat, while controlled darkness can add drama and intimacy. Decorative objects play a similarly important role. The strongest collections rarely look as though everything was purchased simultaneously. Instead, they suggest discovery over time. Books, ceramics, sculptures, framed works, vessels, baskets, and small personal objects can introduce scale and individuality. Their value comes from composition rather than quantity. The final measure of a timeless interior is not whether it looks impressive immediately, but whether it continues to feel meaningful years later. Longevity comes from designing beyond the moment. Trends inevitably change, but proportion, craftsmanship, natural materials, thoughtful architecture, and authentic personal expression remain relevant. This does not mean a home should become frozen in one historical period. A timeless interior can incorporate contemporary furniture, modern technology, traditional craftsmanship, antique pieces, and new artwork as long as these elements are connected by a coherent underlying philosophy. The ability to evolve is actually one of the greatest strengths of enduring design. Rooms should have enough flexibility to accommodate different stages of life. Furniture can move, artwork can change, textiles can be renewed, and accessories can rotate without requiring the entire space to be redesigned. This approach also creates a healthier relationship with consumption. Instead of constantly replacing everything to follow trends, homeowners can invest in fewer pieces with stronger character and allow them to remain useful for longer. Patina becomes an asset rather than a flaw. Small signs of age can communicate authenticity, memory, and continuity. A home becomes more compelling when it appears lived in rather than preserved as a showroom. Personal character is equally important. Timelessness should never result in anonymity,